Welcome everyone. We're coming closer and closer to the big day, Rosh Hashana, the day that we're all going to get judged. And the main theme of Rosh Hashana, one of the main themes is that we blow the shofar. What's the point of the shofar? The point of the shofar, the Gemara explains, is that through the shofar, we should bring out the remembrance of Akedat Yisthak. Why is this so? Because the shofar we blow is a shofar shel ayil. It's a shofar of a ram. The ram is the animal that Avraham Avinu switched. Instead of Yitzchak Avinu, he switched it for a ram. And he shechted the ram instead of his son. So through us blowing the shofar, we remind Hashem of the Akedat Yisthak and for him to judge us favorably. So now, we're going to go into Akedat Yisthak, ask a few questions, and we're going to understand it. So the time for Rosh Hashana, we're going to understand why we're blowing the shofar. Okay, the first question is as follows. Avraham Avinu, why did he have to go through so many tests in his life? He went through 10 big tests, and it was capped with a big test called Akedat Yisthak. He has to go shecht his own son. The son who he's been praying for years with his wife. After so many years, he finally got him. Now, one day he wakes up and he has a nevuah. What's his nevuah? Hashem tells Avraham Avinu, you have to go shecht your son, your only son. Now, why did he have to go through this? Really, what could have been accomplished was that Hashem could have said in his Torah, let's start again like this. The whole point is, one of the answers that are explained is that the point of the test of Avraham Avinu was to show the world how big of an Eved Hashem Avraham Avinu is and how he would do anything for Hashem. And he would give up even his son, his only son's life, in order to show how much he loves Hashem. The question is as follows. Who is there in Akedat Yisthak? Who was there, Benny? Just them two. If it was just them two, Avraham and Yitzchak, so Yishmael and Eliezer, he said, Shavu lachem po im hachamor. Before he went up the mountain, you can't see all the way up on the mountain, he said, stay here with the donkey. He told Eliezer and Yishmael, you can't see anything that's happening up there. He says, I'm going to go up to the mountain, you guys wait over here with the donkey. So no one saw but Avraham and Yitzchak. So who would be there to testify that Avraham was about to give up his son's life for Hashem? Because Hashem said so. It would be the two of them. So why couldn't it? So the way it would be brought out is it would be in the Torah. The Torah would write the whole story as we have, from the beginning to the end, of how Avraham was about to give up his son's life. But the question is as follows. Why did Avraham have to go through the suffering, go through the test, those 3 days? It could have just been, Hashem wrote in the Torah, Avraham Avinu is a big tzaddik, he would do anything for me, he would even give up his only son's life just for me. And the people that would believe anyways, and the people that wouldn't believe. So what was the point of going through all this? The second question is even greater. The pasuk says, Vayhi achar advim ha'eleh, and it was after these events. We're going to explain exactly what these events were. Va'Elohim nisa et Avraham. How are you, Daniel? Yeah, it said Hashem tested Avraham. Now I have a question for you. Who else was part of this big test? Anyone want to answer? Yitzchak. If anything, the test was much greater than him. Much greater than Avraham Avinu. Yitzchak had to go. His father came up to him and said, I heard from God. He told me I have to go shecht you. I have to go shecht you, slaughter you, chop off your head. Why? Because he said so. What would anyone say to his father? No way. What do you mean? He didn't hear the prophecy from Hashem. Avraham Avinu all his life was preaching against everyone that would kill their sons for Avodah Zarah. It was a big thing back then. The Avodah Zarah back then was, one of them, what was it called? Molech, right. They would go ahead and slaughter their sons to the Avodah Zarah. And Avraham Avinu spent all his life saying, do not do this. Now one day he pops up and he's like, I'm going to go shecht you right now. To his only son. So Yitzchak could have easily said, no way, I'm not doing it. So for him, it was much greater test to go ahead and let Avraham Avinu shechten. So why couldn't that have at least mentioned Yitzchak's name and said, V'Elohim nisa et Avraham v'et Yitzchak? Everyone understand the question? Okay. Now to answer this, we're going to answer with another question. The question's as follows. What was so big of Akedat Yisthak? What was so great about Avraham Avinu's test? At the end of the day, did Yitzchak die?
No.
Did he shecht Yitzchak? No. He went up there, he was about to do it true, and it was really just his son, it wasn't even himself. But at the end of the day, he didn't even shecht him. Many people throughout the generations of this world have died al Kiddush Hashem for the sake of Hashem. We had the Holocaust and times all before that, they died for Hashem. And for them, it was a lamaisa. They actually did it. So how could it be that Akedat Yisthak was so great? Until today, it stands for us as a zechut. On Rosh Hashana, it stands for us to tilt the scales in order to be for the favor. Why? Because a few thousand years ago, Avraham Avinu was about to sacrifice his son. So many people throughout the generations actually sacrificed themselves. So why should it be that that's viewed at a higher scale than everyone else? One example of this is Hannah and her sons. She sacrificed all 7 of her sons. The king at that time, I forgot his name, the king at that time wanted her sons to bow down to Avodah Zarah. And each son, one by one, it was not all of them in one shot. One by one, they went in front of the king, and she was standing there the whole time. They went in front of the king, and the king said, bow down, or else off with your head. And what did the kid say? The kid said a pasuk, and he said, I'm going to die. And what did they do? They killed him. And it was one after another, after another, after another, till all 7 of her sons, her only sons, died. She told Hashem, and she told her sons after they died, go up to Avraham Avinu and tell him, I'm much greater. You were about to sacrifice your son, but you didn't end up doing it. I sacrificed all 7 of my sons. All 7 of my sons for Hashem. So you see what? Hannah did, it would seem, something much greater than Avraham Avinu. So why is it that we treat Avraham Avinu's Akedat Yisthak, his Mesirut Nefesh, his sacrifice for Hashem, greater than everyone else's in history? How could it be? Understand these questions? It's strong questions. So we're going to answer as follows. Avraham Avinu was the first person in history to sacrifice something this great for Hashem. Through this sacrifice, even though he didn't end up doing it, but he was going to do it, and he had all the thought to go ahead and do it, what was happening was he was instilling in his spiritual DNA to his sons and his future generations to make it easier for them to be able to go and sacrifice for Hashem. How is it till today, these people, Hannah, her 7 sons, everyone in the Holocaust, everyone, how was it that they were able to sacrifice themselves so easily? Not easily, but that they were actually, lemaisa, actually at the end of the day, able to sacrifice themselves? It was because Avraham Avinu put it into action. For 3 days he was going and he's like, I'm going to go sacrifice my son. Hashem said so. And through that test of Avraham Avinu, he instilled in all of his generations after him the ability to sacrifice for Hashem. He opened the path. That's why for Yitzchak it wasn't such a great test. Because what happened was, those 3 days on the way, Avraham Avinu already instilled in his spiritual DNA, which his son also carried, the ability to go ahead and and to sacrifice yourself for Hashem and do Mesirut Nefesh for Hashem. And that's why Avraham Avinu had to go through that test. The first thing we asked all the way in the beginning of the shiur was what? Why did Avraham Avinu have to go through this test? Why couldn't it just be, Hashem writes down, Avraham Avinu will do anything for me. He's an Eved Hashem. He's a servant of Hashem. Why did it have to be he actually went through the test? So the answer is as follows. Because by him going through the test, he was able to instill that into himself and into all the future generations and clear the path and make it easier for everyone in the future to be able to do the right thing for Hashem and to even give a few sacrifices and to give anything for Hashem. If not for Avraham Avinu, everyone after him would have a much, much, much harder time to be able to sacrifice for Hashem. Another example for this is Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik, at the time that he was able to stop himself from being with Eshet Potiphar, the wife of Potiphar, he instilled in himself and in all his descendants and all of Klal Yisrael the ability to withstand arayot, immorality. Through Yosef HaTzadik, going through 1 year of tests and that final moment, that was able to instill in his spiritual DNA the ability to go ahead and fight this inclination. Now, it's not only on this extreme scale, it's even each one of us, all the fathers in this room, and everyone that's listening, and everyone from Klal Yisrael. They should know, whenever we as fathers do something, we don't even have to preach to our sons. Tell them, oh, do this, do that. Just by doing the actions alone, put in it that that's what I am, and it's going to automatically pass down to your future generations. Just like Avraham Avinu was able to do for all of Klal Yisrael, we are able to do for our own sons. Now I'm going to say a short story about a Misur Nefesh, and it's going to bring out the point a bit more clear. There was a story of a boy. He was in Eretz Yisrael, in Israel, and he was in yeshiva, and he was already 22 years old, and it was time to get married. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to go get married. He went to the Shadchan. The Shadchan hooked him up with an amazing girl from an amazing family, and they went out 1 day, 2 dates, everything was going well. They matched, it was very good. They had an engagement, everything was going well, and they set the wedding date. They set the wedding date for 2-3 months. All the halls were booked. And 2-3 months, now 1 week after the engagement, what happens? Rachmana litzlan, the boy gets diagnosed with cancer. Very, very bad thing. It should not happen to any of us. But the boy gets diagnosed with cancer. Now the parents of the soon-to-be bride and groom, the parents are like, this is a bit of a hard situation. To let them get married, maybe it's hard for the girl to have to go through this. We're going to go ahead and ask the Khatan and the Kala what they think, if they want to still go ahead and get married. Because everything else was going smoothly. Everything was good. Boy was from yeshiva, the girl was from a religious family. Everything was good. So they went to the boy first. And the Khatan said, I want to break it off. I don't want to make my bride have to go through this. You know, it's a lot of suffering that goes through it. Going to the doctor, going to the hospital. I don't want to let my bride at such a young age to have to go through this and maybe have to lose her husband. I don't want her to go through it. We're going to cancel the wedding. They go to the bride. They ask the Kala, do you want to continue with this? The Kala says, for sure, I would never want to break it up. He already has something so great like this. He got diagnosed with this. There's no way he's also going to have a broken engagement on top of it to his soulmate. There's no way I'm going through with it. Now they're at a dilemma. The boy doesn't want it. Why? Because he doesn't want to make her suffer. She wants it. Why? Because she doesn't want to make him suffer. So they had no idea what to do. So they went to go ask a rabbi. They asked this rabbi. They went and asked that rabbi. None of the rabbanim knew what the answer was. Should we let them get married or should we not? What would be the right thing to do? So they went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky at that time, before, this was a few years ago, like 20 years ago. They went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and Reb Chaim Kanievsky, they went to him and they said what happened, and he thought. For 3 minutes he was thinking. And he's like, get married. Get married. Now, before them, there was a lot of other rabbis that they asked. They wanted a source. So they were too embarrassed to ask right on the spot. But after they walked out, they asked one of the family members, can you please go ask your father, what was the source? Where did he come up with this? So when he asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Reb Chaim Kanievsky said, it's a midrash in Midrash Rabbah. In Midrash Rabbah, there's a story there, and that's how I saw it. What's the story? The story was with Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great at the time ruled the entire world. He had everything under his fingertips. He could have gotten anything. So he was very into wisdom, Alexander the Great. So he wanted to know, he heard about this king far, far away. He was the king of this place called Ketzi. And he heard that the king over there was a genius. He was mamash a genius. So he wanted to experience this wisdom. So it was far away. He went with his whole entourage. Weeks he went and traveled to that kingdom. He went to the kingdom, walked in, a whole entourage, and the king sees Alexander the Great. He greets him. He's like, why are you here? What, you want to conquer us? He's like, no, I'm here to experience your wisdom. So the king's like, okay, come sit. They were sitting, they were eating, they were talking. Out of nowhere, two people walk in, and they say, King, we have a question. We have I don't know what's called in English. A dilemma. Yes, very good, thank you. We have a dilemma. What's the dilemma? We'll give the names. Yeah, Reuven says, I sold Shimon a property, a house. This house was broken down. I didn't want to deal with it. It was abandoned for years. So I sold it to him. I wanted to get rid of the headache. Shimon said, I wanted to make an investment. So I wanted to invest into the house. He started knocking down the house, make a foundation, make a new house on top of it. He wanted to rent it out. So Shimon says, while I was making the house, I was digging. And what did I find? Gold. I found a treasure. Tons and tons of gold, rubies, diamonds. It was hidden under the house, under this abandoned house. So now Shimon is saying, I don't deserve it. When I bought the house with thought that I'm buying the house, the karka, the ground, and I'm gonna invest into it. But this treasure doesn't belong to me. It was sold to me accidentally. Reuven should have it back. And Reuven says, I don't want it back. Reuven says, I sold you the karka, I sold you the ground. The ground belongs to you. The treasure was there, you own it. So now they went to this king and they said, King, what do you think we should do? So now the king turned to Alexander the Great and he asked Alexander the Great, what would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? So Alexander the Great says, these two people, I don't need such people in my country. I like people that like to build and do stuff with their money, try to make a lot of riches. Kill them both and I'll take the money for myself. That was Alexander the Great's answer. So the king's like, watch this. He comes up to the two of them and he says, what you should do is, do you have a son? Reuven's like, yeah, I have a son. Turns to Shimon, do you have a daughter? Yeah. Let your son get married to your daughter and let them have the riches and be able to start their life anew. Start a new life, have this in back of them, and they'll be able to start with your money, the two of your money, join it together and have this shidduch. Why is that? Because he said, a shidduch that you're able to be moser nefesh and give in and want the benefit of someone else, that's a shidduch that's long lasting. A match, a husband and a wife, a husband that wants to only give to his wife, and a wife that only wants to give to her husband, families that want to give to each other, those are the two families that you should be able to connect to. And you should constantly connect to, and this is why it's going to be a good marriage. Give them the treasure, and that's it. And what happened was they got married and everything was good. And the Midrash ends. So Avraham Kanievsky said, such a match. This girl wants to do the best for this guy, and this guy only wants the best for this girl. Such a match can't go wrong. Such a shidduch is a match made in heaven. So that's why he said, go ahead with the marriage. And he himself went there. Reb Chaim Kanievsky, barely went to any weddings. He went to that wedding to support it and show that he stands for it. And that even though the boy was sick and she would have to go through a lot, this is going to be good. And at the end of the day, the family became very successful and they had many kids and they went through the problem. And Baruch Hashem, they were able to heal themselves, the kid. So what do you see from this story? What you see is Misirut Nefesh, not only for Hashem. To do something for Hashem, the whole point is we have to first start with the people around us. By being Moser Nefesh and giving in and helping, and even if it means those self-sacrifice, Even if it means you have to lose something for yourself, lose time, lose money a little bit. By helping out another, that's how you're able to go ahead and build yourself to be able to give to Hashem. And know how to properly give to Hashem. Now, whenever we say Mesirut Nefesh, what does Mesirut Nefesh mean? It doesn't only mean giving up your life for Hashem. That's the extreme. But how do you reach such a level that you're able to go and one day give up your life for Hashem? It only comes through gradually, step by step, every single day, at a low level, giving up for Hashem. It could be waking up in the morning, even though it's hard. Waking up and constantly. When you do something constantly, it's even more harder. It's even more harder. But when you're giving in for Hashem and showing, I want to do it for you, Hashem. I'm going to come learn late at night, even though it's hard for me. I have a wife, I have kids, I worked all day. I'm still going to come. And I'm going to come every week. Why? Because I care for you, Hashem. And I'm going to be Moser Nefesh. I'm going to give. I'm going to self-sacrifice for you, Hashem. And that sacrifice shouldn't hurt you. At the end of the day, you should feel that you gained so much from it. Not that you lost, but the loss was for a greater gain. Like a slingshot. You go back just to go much, much farther from where you were. So, we should take this. Rosh Hashana is coming. We should accept upon ourselves something small. Be able to give up a little bit for Hashem. And we should be able to grow and take this that we accept upon ourselves for our entire life and do it consistently. B'hatmada, b'tmidut. Constantly. And not give up and show Hashem, we would do anything for you. And Hashem sees that you're doing something small for Him. He'll count it for something much, much greater. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen v'amen.